It is the middle of summer. You are back at that same grocery store, standing in front of a big cardboard bin, and this time it is piled high with cantaloupes. $4 a piece, and every last one of them looks exactly the same. Same tan netting, same size, same shape. You pick one up, you turn it over in your hands, maybe you press on it a little, the way you have seen folks do, and the honest truth is you have not got the first idea which one of these is any good. So you pick the one that looks the nicest and you carry it home and you hope, and Saturday you cut it open and it is the same sad story as the watermelon. The flesh is pale and hard, more white than orange. It is watery. It has almost no smell to it and even less taste. You paid $4 for a melon that tastes like a wet dish rag. And once again, most of it goes out to the chickens. Now, if you were with me last time, you know my name is Amos. And you know I grew up back in a holler in the mountains where we could not afford to bring home a bad melon. And I promised you at the end of that watermelon video that I would come back and take you through the cantaloupe. Well, here I am. Because the cantaloupe, the muskmelon, is a different animal entirely. Nearly every test that works on a watermelon will lead you wrong on a cantaloupe. But there is one test on a cantaloupe, one thing you can do standing right there in the store that will tell you almost everything you need to know. And I am going to save that one for the end because it is the best one there is and almost nobody alive still uses it. So stay with me and let us learn to pick a cantaloupe the way my grandmother did. Because she never once brought home a bad one, and by the time we are done here, neither will you. Now, before we get into the test, I need to tell you the one hard fact about a cantaloupe that changes everything. And it is the very same fact I told you about the watermelon, because it is the cruelest trick the grocery store plays on you. A cantaloupe does not get any sweeter after it is picked. Let me say that again. Because your whole life, you have probably believed the opposite. You have set a hard cantaloupe on the windowsill and waited for it to ripen up sweet. And here is the truth. It will get softer. It will get juicier. The flesh will turn from hard to tender, and it will smell more like a melon as the days go by. But the sugar, the actual sweetness, is set the day that melon comes off the vine, and it never goes up again. Not one bit. A cantaloupe picked green is a cantaloupe that will be watery and bland for the rest of its short life, no matter how long you wait, no matter how soft it gets on your counter. And that right there is the whole problem with the store melon. Because a cantaloupe that is left on the vine until it is truly ripe and sweet is a soft, tender, fragile thing. It bruises if you look at it wrong. It will not survive being packed in a crate and hauled 1,000 miles and stacked in a bin and squeezed by 50 hands. So the men who grow for the big stores do not let it get ripe. They pick it hard and green and full of nothing, because a hard green melon ships like a baseball. And they are counting on one thing. They are counting on you not knowing the difference. Well, after today, you are going to know the difference. So let us walk up to that bin together. The first test is the stem end, and this is the one most folks have never even heard of, and it is the first thing my grandmother looked at every single time. Turn the melon over and find the two ends. One end is the blossom end, where the flower was. We will come back to that end, because that is where the magic is. The other end is the stem end, where the melon was attached to the vine. And that stem end is going to tell you a story. Here's what you want. You want a smooth, round, slightly sunken scar where the stem used to be. Clean, caved in a little like a shallow bowl. Nothing sticking out. What that tells you is that this melon came off the vine on what the old folks call a full slip. When a cantaloupe gets truly ripe, all on its own, it forms a natural crack right around the base of the stem, and with just the gentlest tug, or even on its own, it slips clean off the vine. The vine lets it go because the melon is telling it, I am done, I am ripe, I am ready. That clean, dished scar is the melon's own signature that it was ripe the day it was picked. Now, here is what you turn away from. If you see a piece of stem still stuck on there, a little woody stub, or a rough torn place, or a flat cut mark, put it down and walk away. Because that means somebody took a knife or a hard yank and cut that melon off the vine before it was ready to let go. It did not slip. It was taken. And a melon that was taken green will never, ever be sweet. The stem end is the first place the store gives itself away if you just know to look. The second test is the netting. That rough, raised, tan webbing all over the skin, that is the netting, and it is worth a close look. Now, you might think all cantaloupes have that netting, and they do. But not all netting is the same, and the difference matters. You want netting that is coarse and thick and raised up high, standing proud off the surface, corky and rough to the touch, and spread evenly all the way around the whole melon. Thick, gray tan netting that you can catch your fingernail on. That heavy, well-built netting is a sign that the melon grew slow and full and got plenty of time on the vine. And here is the part that will sound familiar if you watch the watermelon video. Just like that brown webbing on a watermelon, this netting is tied to the bees and the sugar. A melon that was well pollinated and grew sweet builds a heavier, coarser net. A melon that got shorted stays smooth and fine and flat. So run your hand over it. You want it rough and raised and even, like coarse rope laid all over the melon, smooth patches, fine flat netting, or bald green spots. Those are the melon telling you it did not finish. Coarse and corky all the way around, that is the one you want. The third test is the color underneath. And this one is simple, but you have to know to look past the netting. Look at the skin between the ropes of netting, the background color of the rind itself, down underneath the webbing. On a melon that is not ripe, that background color is green, a hard, cold gray green. And I do not care how nice the netting looks. If the color under it is green, that melon was picked too soon. But on a melon that ripened right, that background color turns. It goes from green to a warm golden tan, a buff color, a soft cream, or even a pale yellow between the nets. That warm golden color underneath is the melon blushing ripe. Green underneath, leave it. Golden and warm underneath. Now you are getting somewhere. The fourth test is the weight. And this one is exactly the same as the watermelon, so you already know it. Pick your melon up, then pick up another one right beside it, about the same size, and feel which one is heavier. You want the heavy one every time. A melon that feels heavy for its size is a melon that is full of water and sugar and juice. A melon that feels light for how big it looks is a melon that is going hollow and dry and pithy inside. Heft two of a size and take the one that feels like it is hiding a brick. Full of juice has weight to it. Empty and dry does not. The fifth test is the give. And here you have to have a gentle hand, because a cantaloupe is softer than a watermelon, and it is easy to go wrong. Take your thumb and press, soft and easy, on the blossom end. That is the end opposite the stem scar, the end where the flower was. On a ripe melon, that blossom end will give you just a little slight yield, a little spring, like pressing the tip of your nose. That little give tells you the melon is ripe and tender inside. Now hear me on this. Rock hard, no give at all, and that melon is still green and will never sweeten. But soft and mushy, or a spot that caves in and stays caved, That melon has gone past its time and started to rot from the inside. You do not want hard, and you do not want mush. You want that gentle, springy give, just at the blossom end. A little and no more. The sixth test is the shape, and it is a quick one. The element in the melon that is round and even and full, the same fat shape all the way around, sitting nice and symmetrical in your two hands. Turn away from the one that is flat on one side or lopsided or lumpy fat on one end and pinched on the other. Because same as the watermelon, an even shape means the bees worked it evenly all the way around and it ripened even and sweet from side to side. A lopsided melon got shorted on one side, and it will be sweet in one bite and flat in the next. Even and round, that is the one. Now, stay with me, because we have come to the last one, and this is the big one. This is the one thing you smell that tells you everything. This is the test the store cannot fake, and the test that almost nobody alive still uses. And once I show it to you, you will never buy a cantaloupe any other way again. The seventh test is the smell. Take the melon and turn it to that blossom end, the end opposite the stem, the soft end where the flower once was, and put your nose right up against it, right on it, and take a good slow breath in. A ripe cantaloupe, a truly ripe and sweet one, will hit you with the most wonderful smell. Sweet and musky and rich and floral, a smell so strong and so sweet it almost does not seem real, a smell that fills your whole head and makes your mouth water on the spot. That smell has a name. That is where the word muskmelon comes from, that deep, musky perfume. And that smell is the melon's own honest promise of the sugar waiting inside. You cannot fake it. You cannot paint it on. A melon that smells sweet is sweet. It is that simple. And here is the other half of it, the half that saves you every time. A melon that has no smell at all, a melon you put your nose to and get nothing, just a faint, cold nothing. That melon has no sugar in it either. It was picked green, and it never built the perfume, and it never built the sweetness, and the two go together always. No smell, no sugar, every single time. Now think about that for a second, and think about what it means standing in that store. You do not have to guess. You do not have to cut it open at home and pray. You just lift the melon to your nose, right there in the aisle, and you breathe. If your head fills up with that sweet musky perfume, that is your melon, put it in the cart. If you get nothing, set it right back down, because nothing is exactly what it will taste like. Smell the blossom end. That is the whole secret. My grandmother would stand at that produce stand and lift one melon after another to her nose, and the man behind the counter thought she was a little touched in the head, and she would just smile because she knew something. He was counting on you, never learning. The nose knows. It has never once been fooled. So there they are, the test for the cantaloupe. The stem end, dished and clean from a full slip. The netting, coarse and raised and even. The color underneath, golden and not green. The weight, heavy for its size. The give, a gentle spring at the blossom end. The shape, round and even all around. And the smell, that sweet musky perfume at the blossom end, that tells you everything. Run those in order and save the smell for last. And I promise you, you will pick the sweetest melon in that whole bin every time. Now let me tell you what I want you to do this week. Go to the store, or better yet, go find a farm stand or a roadside truck where a fella grew them himself and picked them ripe. And do not buy one melon, pick up 3. Run the test on all 3. Find the one with the clean slip stem and the heavy heft and the golden color and that sweet musky smell rolling off the blossom end, and buy that one. Take it home and cut it open cold on a hot afternoon and give a piece to everybody at the table and watch their faces, because a cantaloupe picked right, sweet and perfumed and dripping, is one of the finest things the summer has to give, and most folks have honestly never tasted one. They have only ever had the sad green store melon, and they think that is all a cantaloupe is. You know better now. You have the nose for it. Now, I want to hear from you down in the comments. Tell me, had you ever heard of the full slip, the stem end test? I am betting most of you had not. And tell me this too. Tell me what your own grandmother did to pick a good melon. Any trick I did not mention here. Maybe she thumped it. Maybe she had a saying. Those little family tricks are exactly the sort of thing that slips away for good when nobody writes them down, and I would dearly love to gather them up. I read every comment that comes in, every single one. And next time, I think we will step away from the melons for a spell, and I will show you an old summer trick for keeping what you grow so that the sweetness of July is still on your table come the cold of January. Subscribe so you do not miss it. Until then, look for the heavy one with the golden netting and the sweet musky smell. And remember, the melon will always tell you the truth if you only know how to ask. Your grandmother asked with her nose. Now so can you.